In the small town of Jambura, beauty was measured in curves. Women with wide hips and big bums were praised, sung about in songs, and admired by all. The larger a woman's bottom, the more beautiful she was considered to be. Every year, the town held a grand festival where the women showcased their beauty by dancing to the beat of the royal drums. Their waists rolled like waves, and their wraps swayed as they moved, earning cheers from the crowd. The drums of Jambura beat like a mighty heart, their rhythm echoing through the valleys and hills. The scent of roasted meat and sweetened drinks filled the air as villagers decorated the streets with colorful fabrics and fresh flowers. Laughter and excitement ran wild, for the grand festival was about to begin. It was the most awaited day of the year when the beauty of Jambura's women would be displayed in the most enchanting way through dance. At the center of this town was the royal palace, a magnificent structure with high walls and golden gates. The walls inside the palace were adorned with paintings of past queens. Each queen in the portraits had wide hips and ample calves, their figures immortalized in history as the standard of beauty. Their beauty was legendary, and every girl in the kingdom dreamed of growing into a woman like them. But within these grand walls lived Princess Olanma, the one exception. Princess Olanma was born into the royal family, but she did not have the curves that made a woman in Jambura truly admired. She was slender, with a small frame, and no matter how much she ate or how many magical herbs her mother gave her, she remained the same. The queen, desperate for her daughter to fit in, tried everything, feeding her special meals, tying cushions beneath her clothes, even seeking out sorcerers who promised they could change her shape. But nothing worked. The town whispered about her. Her small frame became the subject of whispered conversations and concerned glances among the court officials. Some pitied her, while others mocked her. A princess with no curves. How can she ever be queen, they said. Mothers would pull their sons away when she passed, shaking their heads in disapproval. How will we ever find a suitable husband for a princess with such little proportions? The elders would mutter during council meetings. Some of her childhood friends suggested that she travel to a distant village for surgery to enlarge her bum. One day, as she sat in the garden, some of her childhood friends approached her, their expressions a mix of pity and curiosity. "Olanma, we have been talking," said Nia, the boldest among them. "There is a way to fix this." "Fix what?" Olanma asked, though she already knew the answer. "Your." Nia hesitated, then gestured to her lower body. "Your figure. There's a village not far from here where they can do a BBL procedure. They can make you look like the other women." Olanma felt her heart tighten. "You think I need to change myself?" "It's not about what we think," Lila added softly. "It's about what the people think. You deserve to be admired, Olanma. You deserve to have men lining up for you, just like they do for the other women." "But is my worth only in how I look?" Olanma's voice was barely above a whisper. Her friends exchanged glances, unsure how to answer. "Think about it," Nia said. "We only want what's best for you." That night, Olanma cried in her chambers. No matter what she did, she would never be enough in the eyes of her people. Olanma's mother, Queen Zora, grew increasingly worried. "My daughter," she would say, "perhaps if you tried this special pounded yam recipe passed down through generations. They say it works wonders for enlargement. Because if your bum remains the same, and your father and I eventually make a man for you, you would make a terrible dancer at your wedding, and bring shame to the royal family." But no matter what Olanma ate or how many traditional treatments she tried, her figure remained unchanged. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that she had a secret. Now before we continue, if you have watched up until now, it is because you enjoyed the story. Please be kind enough to give this video a like, drop your comments, and subscribe for more interesting stories like this. Now back to the story. Olanma was indeed a fire dancer. Every day, she locked herself in her room, and when no one was watching, she danced. She did not need the great drums of the festival. She made her own music with her mouth, humming the rhythms she had memorized from childhood. Her waist moved like flowing water, her steps light and graceful. She could spin, bend, and shake with such skill that even the best dancers in Jambura would be amazed. But she never showed anyone. She was afraid. Afraid of laughter. Afraid of mockery. Afraid of being told she could never be like the other women. The day of the biggest festival in Jambura arrived, and for the first time, kingdoms from far and wide were invited. The town was alive with music and excitement. Women prepared their most beautiful wraps, and men gathered to watch them dance. Inside the palace, Olanma watched from her window. She told herself she would not dance. She would not let them laugh at her. But her heart ached. She longed to join them. Then the drums began. The rhythm was powerful, calling to her soul. Her feet began tapping against the floor. She bit her lip, trying to resist, but the music was too strong. Without thinking, she rushed to a quiet corner of the palace yard, where she thought no one would see her, and she began to dance. Her waist moved in ways unseen before in Jambura. Her feet glided like the wind. Her body twisted and turned in perfect harmony with the beat. She danced like she had never danced before, lost in the music. But she was not alone. A prince from another kingdom had been watching. Prince Femi, from the land of Safora, had come to witness the famous beauty of Jambura's women. But while they were indeed beautiful, none of them captivated him until he saw Olanma. He had never seen a woman dance with such grace, such energy. In Safora, slender women were considered the most beautiful, but they had never learned to dance like this. He was enchanted. He approached her. "You dance like the wind," he said, smiling. Olanma stopped, startled. She expected him to laugh at her, but instead, he looked at her in admiration. She hesitated before speaking. "My people do not see beauty in me. They only see what I lack." "Then they are blind," Femi replied. "In my kingdom, women as slender as you are celebrated, but they do not know how to move like you do. You have a gift greater than any curves." His words touched her heart. For the first time, someone saw her for who she truly was. They began meeting in secret, where he would play drums for her, and she would dance. With every meeting, she grew more confident. She was no longer ashamed. She was proud of her talent. When the next festival came, Femi encouraged her to dance before her people. "Show them what they have never seen before," he said. At first, she refused, fearing their reaction. But when the day of the festival arrived, something inside her changed. As the drums played and the women danced, Olanma stepped forward. At first, the villagers gasped. Some even laughed. But then she began to move. Her waist rolled like the ocean waves. Her feet tapped in perfect rhythm. Her body swayed with effortless grace. The other dancers stopped, their movements stiff in comparison. The crowd fell silent, mesmerized. And then, they began to cheer. They clapped, They shouted her name, and soon the entire village was singing about the princess who danced like the wind. From that day on, everything changed. Men who had once ignored her now begged for her hand in marriage. They brought gifts, gold, silk, and treasures from distant lands. The palace gates overflowed with suitors, each hoping to win her heart. But Olanma only had eyes for Femi. She went to her parents and told them she had found love. When she introduced him, they saw the way he looked at her, not with judgment, but with pride. They welcomed him with open arms. On their wedding day, Olanma danced more beautifully than ever before. The other women tried to match her, but none could move like her. That night, the town no longer sang about the size of a woman's bum, they sang about the princess who danced like the wind. And so, Olanma and Femi lived happily ever after, proving that true beauty was not in how one looked, but in the way they moved through life, with confidence, grace, and joy. Remember to like and subscribe for more amazing stories that will change your life. Don't forget to hit that notification bell.